we haven't been live all this time. Welcome to Power Fridays Live. Thank you for joining us at Power Fridays Live. And I'm your host. I'm your host, Janel Pulley-Brazotra, and I am here.
Hey, Janelle, there's a lot of people saying they can't get in.
Yeah, I see that problem right now. And yeah.
It's live now.
Okay, so we're live now. Okay, now we're live. Okay, so oh goodness, I'm so sorry. We got to start all over again. But welcome to Power Fridays Live. I'm your host, Janel Pulley-Brazotra. I'm an author of Money Just Flew Out the Window: How to Create a Relationship with Wealth, Living from Paycheck to Paycheck. And I am here with the man of God, husband, father, born in Newark, New Jersey, now living in the Metro Atlanta area. This is January, Financial Wellness Month. Happy New Year to everyone. And tonight, our entrepreneur of the evening is James Hassan Coleman. Welcome, James. How are you doing this evening?
Hey, Janelle, how you doing? Happy New Year to everybody that's out there. Thank you for having me tonight. Hey, look, I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. You know what they say? Hey, any day above ground is great. And check it out. If we complain, guess it's not going to change anything anyway, right? So I'm doing absolutely great. Like I said, first and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm a man of God. You know, I'm a husband. I'm a father of three. I'm also a granddad. You know, my wife and I, we're in the financial services industry. I'm a coach and mentor, motivational speaker, author, you know, and hey, look, born and raised in Newark, New Jersey, you know, straight from Brick City. You know, grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with 10 brothers and sisters up until the age of 15. And the crazy thing is, where we grew up at, you know, we didn't really know we was poor, right? You know, I didn't understand, you know, Mom Duke on welfare, you know, getting the food stamps. You got to go, once the food stamps done ran out, we got to go to the corner store with a note to say, hey, look, my mom said, hey, can you give us this food on credit until the food stamps come in? You know, we found ourselves also, you know, because it was 10 of us, right, that we cut in the cardboard out of the cereal boxes, putting it in the bottom of our shoes to go to school because the shoes had holes in them, you know, and that right there really made me understand that we was really bad, you know. But my mom did the best that she could with what she had, right? And I just knew at some point in time that I would have to do something different if I wanted a better life for myself. And I ended up turning to the streets, right? And turning to the streets cost me to be shot twice, cost me to do 6 years in prison, right? Caused me to spend 2 of those 6 years looking at a brick wall without never, ever going outside. So I want you to imagine never feeling the wind blow on you. Imagine never a raindrop for 2 years, a snowflake, the sun, hearing the bird chirp, hearing the dog bark, you know, smelling fresh cut green grass, or even the fumes from a car, you know, having all that taken away from you. Now, even people that's locked up in solitary confinement, right, or in administrative segregation, you know, they get to go outside once a week and sometimes once a day. You know, I didn't have that privilege. And so that ended up taking a toll on me during the 2 years that happened, you know, because I was like, okay, I'm here. So I started really, really wilding out. So, you know, beating up correction officers, people on the tier, the whole 9 yards, because, you know, the stress of just the monotony of the same thing every single day. And there's nothing you can do about it. You know, it's not like I can go outside and get and catch a breath of fresh air, right? No, I'm stuck on that tier 24/7, 365, 2 years in a row, you know. Yeah, so it was rough. So end up coming home and from prison. And the crazy thing is that while I was locked up, I was selling drugs in prison. So I got caught with half a kilo of cocaine, 8 guns, hollow tip pulls, everything, right? And they gave me this time. So now while I'm in there, I'm selling drugs. Then when I come home, some of the so-called people that supposed to be my boys, right? that didn't come see me when I was locked up, didn't put no money on the books, like, yo, son, we got you. And they give me drugs to get back on my feet. And I'm like, oh, look, give me half of that in paper, let me make it do what it do. Now you're gonna make more money. And I fell for it. I'm fresh home. So in 2 weeks, I ended up stacking up $26,000. And one day I said to myself, what am I doing? I just told myself for the last 2 years, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna make 6 figures in 5 years.
Wow.
I don't have a job. I'm back to doing the same thing that took 6 years away from me. I'm doing it again. And so I said, I'm done. I'm not messing with it no more. So let my man rest in peace. I called him up, told him to come through, gave him the book back, like, yo, son, I'm done. He's like, yo, Haas, you shook, man. No, I ain't shook. I'm just not going back, man. I'm done. Everything I earned from this point is going to be legal. I deserve that.
Yes.
So, I never went back to selling drugs or anything. Got a job making $5.75 an hour. My mindset at that job was, hey, look, $5.75 an hour is more than what I had because it's legal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're sitting with $26,000 like in the house, and then you're saying, yes, you're making that mindset shift change to say, hey, I'm going to be legit and then work for minimum wage, because minimum wage been $5.75 an hour for a while, back at that particular point in time. And so going legit and getting the job, making that kind of money, then how did your life transform for yourself, with the family, raising the family? Because, what I understand, being incarcerated for 6 years, how did you get out with all of that going on that you said that you had been involved with in your previous life? How did you get out of prison in that regard?
Well, I tell you, I had a lot of infractions when I was in prison. There was one point in time while I was incarcerated. They moved me about 5 times to 4 different jails in a matter of 2.5 months. That's how bad I was wilding out. So I knew I had this disciplinary stuff, on my record. So when it was time to see the parole board, my son's mother, she had 2 kids, and I asked her to send me the kids' report card. And she was like, for what? I'm going to use it when I go to the parole board, right? And so I go to the parole board with it, and the lady, she's like, I've been sitting on the parole board, doing these hearings for inmates for over 20 plus years, and nobody has never, ever came and presented their kids' report card and saying that they not only need to be out there in society physically for their kids, but also to help their kids academically and emotionally as well. And so they granted me parole. And the people that I was locked up with, they was like, yo, that's crazy, because of my record and everything. And my first parole hearing, to get granted parole, it was a really, really big deal. But for me, it was thinking outside of the box. And I even think outside the box to this day when it comes down to things, because for me, I'm a firm believer that you can't accomplish what your brain can't conceive. If you can conceive the thought, it's a matter of bringing that thought into existence. Stumbling blocks are opportunities. So when opportunity presents itself, you take advantage of it. So it's like you trying to go somewhere and this brick wall in front of you. Are you going to let that brick wall stop you? Or you're going to find a way to get over that wall, around that wall, through that wall, or underneath that wall. So for me, it was like, I got to get back out there to society, because I don't want to be here anymore. So that was my mindset in regards to thinking, outside of the box. Now,
as a man thinketh, so is he.
You're absolutely correct. I know what they say, like, out of the mouths come blessings and curses, right? So so getting involved in working and making $5.75 an hour, I got to tell you, Janel, it was rough, right? Because when I was incarcerated selling drugs, I was making $2,000 a weekend in jail. $2,000 a weekend. Now I come home and I'm saying I want to be legal, and I got a job making $5.75 an hour, and it's part-time. And not just that, I come into a dynamic where, as though involved in a relationship. I have 2 stepchildren at the time, and all of it's new to me. and I'm a grown man used to getting money on the streets, and they paying me $5.75 an hour. So I had to go back to my mind saying, hey, look, I'm gonna make six figures legally in 5 years with no college education. Everybody telling me I can't do it. Here's what's the turning point for me that changed my thought process in regards to I am somebody, right? And I don't have to be a product of my environment. And it was, I was at the job, and one of the co-workers told me that the boss had said something about me, right? And I just took what he said and ran with it. I went into the boss office and I cussed this man out.
Oh, wow.
I invited this man outside to fight and everything because I'm fresh home from prison. I'm a street dude, right? You know, and I'm like going in on this guy. And then I left, right? Now, when I left, it hit me. Wait a minute. I'm on parole. One of my stipulations is to have a job. I just cussed out the boss. And so I get home, I call him up. And I never forget it. And the first thing I did was apologize. And he said, "Nah, don't apologize to me, James. Be a man and own what you said. I don't know what you're dealing with, but I'm not going to let you quit. I'm not going to fire you. Come back to work. Take tomorrow off to get your mind right and come back to work after that and let's talk." And I was like, oh man, okay, whoo, because I'm like, because if I'm not working, that's a parole violation. They could send me back to finish
right.
the years.
Talk about the favor of God. Oh my goodness,
God,
the favor of God on your life, James.
Yes.
And here we have Dave. He's joining us here.
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Dave.
How's it going? I'm just listening to your story from backstage.
Okay.
Good to meet you, James.
Likewise.
Yes. And so the guy, he takes your apology, he hires you back, and you made a difference in your life, and you made that decision to start making six figures. So where did you go from here?
Well, first and foremost, he partnered me up with this guy, right? This other guy, and the guy shows me his check, and his check got commas in it, and I'm like, "You made that working at this sneaker store?" And he was like, "Yeah." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Because the only people I know that make anything with a comma in it is drug dealers, right? That's the only people I know that's making money that got commas attached to it. Because I didn't know nobody in my life, right, that was working a job and they check had commas in it, right? This is my first time seeing this, and mind you, I'm a grown man, right? And so I said, "You can show me how to do that." He was like, "Yeah, but you're gonna have to do three things. You're gonna have to listen to what I say, right? Be quiet, right? And you got to work on yourself." And I said, "Wait a minute. I could do what you say. I could be quiet. But what do you mean work on myself?" Because I never had nobody say I had to work on myself. So that was foreign language to me. He said, "We're going to work on your character. We're going to work on your sphere of influence. We're going to work on your leadership and all of that." And the very first book he gave me to read was John Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And he said, "We're not only going to read the book, James, but we're going to go out here on the floor and we're going to put some of the stuff into play." He said, "Because everybody say knowledge is power, but it's not power unless it's applied. So we're going to work on how to apply what it is you read and everything." And it messed me up because I never in my life had anybody to take that kind of interest in me. So that right there changed everything for me. And that's what got me into reading and working on me. So my goal was to make six figures in corporate America in 5 years. I didn't do it in 5 years. I did it in 6 years, 2 months. No college education, no nothing. You know, because the one thing I learned is that by association, there you go, right? So which means that I had to start changing my circle of people that I was around. And as I started to change my circle of people around, you know, now the talk was, "Oh, Haas think he better than us now. He's working in corporate America." Now, I'm not better than you. There's some things I want to get done in life, right? There's some places I want to go, some things I want to get accomplished, and I can't keep doing the same thing.
Yes, well, the favor is truly there, and with that John Maxwell book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, Dave, Dave, that's your book. Dave's a coach with the John Maxwell uh,
Nice.
certified coach. So,
Yeah.
Dave, any
Yes.
questions for James?
Yeah, no, that was really cool to hear that John Maxwell was somehow tied to that. I had a life-changing experience too when I picked up his first book. I'm
Yeah.
like, it completely changed my view on what it means to grow as a person and lead as a person, right? And so, yes, I mean, John tells this story about what's your plan for personal development, right? And most of us don't have that.
Nope.
So, just hearing what you're saying so far, you pick up the book, you start reading it, you're flabbergasted by the fact that somebody took that kind of interest in you. So what's the next step? Like, what from here, where did you kind of go, oh, you know what? I really need to work on myself and take it to the next level. Like, what were the next steps after that?
Well, the great question. The next steps afterward, I just continue to immerse myself in books to read, right? Because I knew I had to grow, right? And I knew with me growing that I would eventually change, right? Change in regards to growing and not being the same person that I was, right? And so as I started to do that, I started to move up and, in corporate America, right? And found myself in the position where now I'm just district sales manager in New York, right? I got 11 stores, responsible for $570 million in revenue, right? And I'm like, life is good, right? They paying me a nice 6-figure salary. I got 401k. I got stock options. I'm getting innovation CEO awards and all this other stuff. I'm like, life is good. And I had a conversation with this guy, and he messed me up, right? Now, I'm not knocking anybody out there that work, right? Because I worked for a long time in corporate America from the time I came home from prison, from 1997 all the way until 2014. I worked for somebody. I've been self-employed now since then, right? And the guy said, "Hey, look, James, look, you got a good job making 6 figures." He said, "Let me ask you a question." I'm like, "Yo, what's up?" He said, "Are you making history or are you making his story?" You can't will that 6-figure job down to your family. He said, "I tell you what, go get sick at work tomorrow and have to be out for an extended period of time and see how fast they post your position." And that messed me up because it was something I had never ever thought about. He said, "You see, James, look, I want your week to look like my week." I said, "Bro, our week look the same: Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday." He said, "Nah, son, that's where you're wrong." He said, "My week consists of 6 Saturdays and 1 Sunday. You working people, y'all got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday." He said, "I can't call you on Tuesday 11 o'clock in the morning to go play ball. You got to work." I get a holiday in the job. I got a 3-day weekend. Y'all think that's a vacation? He said, "You got to position yourself to understand the power of passive and residual income. You got to take the linear income and get it to a point where you're earning passive and residual income." And it just messed me up because once again, here I am in my life. Nobody never talked to me like that. But the cool thing is that as I was growing, I was able to receive that, right? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough wrote the book Who Makes the Great Great, but he said, "Hey, look, a degree will get you a job, but common sense will make you a fortune."
Say that again.
Whoa. Yeah. So, he said a degree will get you a job, but common sense will make you a fortune. So,
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't knock anybody that go to college. My 17-year-old daughter, she's gonna graduate in May. She's going to college. My oldest daughter, she has a master's in her field, right? She's just start her own practice. So I don't knock anybody to go to college. Go. But at the same time, be open to opportunities that you can position yourself to take advantage of to where it's going to be beneficial for you when now you're in the driver's seat of your own income. Because it really took my wife and I to move down to Atlanta for everything to just say, bam, something got to change. And that's because when we moved down here, right? I walked away from the 6-figure job, had money saved up, and we were spending money like it was still coming in. And we found ourselves in a situation where they repossessed the cars and repossessed the doggone garbage can. And my wife said, baby, they took the garbage can. I said, they can give us a new one. I don't know. And I called them up, and the man said, no, Mr. Coleman, when you pay the $35, then we'll give you back the garbage can. And I'm sitting there like, yo, did they really just repossess the garbage can? I understand the car, but the garbage can for $35, it really, really messed me up. And I was like, man, some got to give. And I tell you, at that particular point in time, I really, really contemplated about going back to the streets. Because I'm like, I'm not going to have my wife and my daughter homeless, before I have them homeless, I'm going to get it how I live or get it how I know how to live. And I remember sitting in the Walgreens parking lot. My brother's a bishop, and I called him up. He's like, what's going on? I said, yo, I'm about to make this phone call. He said, for what? I got to get some work, man. Wifey, they can't be homeless. And he was like, nah, bro, God got you. God got you. And I said to say, God got a way of getting our attention, because I had everything. God took everything from us, and immediately got my attention. One of the hardest conversations I had to have was with my daughter, my baby girl at the time. She's 17 now. I think she might have been 7. She might have been 7 or 8 at the time. To sit down and tell her that, hey, look, Daddy gonna have to send you and Mommy down to Florida while Daddy figured things out. And it broke me. It broke me, and I was messed up because I had got a job, but the job let me go because one of these gang bangers came up in the store and tried to push up on me. I'm like, bruh, ain't nothing sweet here, son. And so I pushed them, right? Ready to fight. Oh, call the police. The store manager hit me, and they let me go. And so I'm like, cool, right? It is what it is, because I look at it like this. Hey, look, my wife and my daughter, they're expecting me to come home every night. You ain't gonna push up on me. You ain't gonna put your hands on me. Yo, I'm gonna handle my business by any means necessary. That's just how I'm wired. And so found myself in the situation, messed up. I got a very impressive resume in corporate America, but guess what? I still have a record. I still have a background that cannot be expunged, because the amount of drugs I got caught with and all those guns cannot be. To this day, it's 2023. It still cannot be expunged. I've been home. I've done my time. I've been home since 1997.
Wow.
And that background still haunts me to the day. But at the same time, I made a decision. Hey, look, I don't have to be a product of my environment. My past does not dictate my future. It does not. So you can try to hold it against me, or what you think you're holding against me, but I'm going to prevail. Right? And so I had got another job. I worked like 2 days, and they said, no, we can't have you because you're a record. And I told my wife, I said, hey, look, I'm never working for nobody else again, ever. My wife said, what you going to do? I said, I don't know, but I'm never going to work for nobody else again, because nobody will ever dictate how I take care of my family ever again. If I don't take care of my family, it's going to be because of James Coleman, not because somebody controlled the paycheck. It's going to be because of me, because I control the paycheck. So my man, let him rest in peace. He the one that got me into this financial services industry. Let him rest in peace. He first tried to get me into when I first moved down to Atlanta, and I was like, nah, I'm good, bro. And my wife told me to call him. I said, I'm not calling him. He do insurance. I'm not calling him. My wife said, boy, if you don't get your butt in that room and call him, see what he's talking about, it's gonna be a problem. Happy wife, happy life, right? So I called him up. I said, yo, man, you still doing that insurance stuff? He said, yeah. You still making 6 figures? He said, yeah. I said, do I got to harass friends and family to make money? He said, no. I said, what I need to do? And I got involved in the financial services industry. My first 5 years in the business, I touched 7 figures, right? And I remember when I was making the money, and I was like, why am I having this success? And I had a conversation with God, and I said, God, why am I having this success doing this? I know nothing about this. And clear as day, God said, because you're helping people. Got you. Okay. And so I'm fortunate today that like I said, I don't work for anybody, right? And it's because everything is on God's term and God's time. God had to get my attention, right? To get me to understand, hey, look, we're gonna do things my way. We ain't gonna do things your way, right? We tried it your way, it didn't work. Now we're gonna try it my way. I just need you to be obedient, And one of the other key pieces is the need to have mentors in your life, And I don't know anybody personally that is successful that don't have mentors in their life in some shape, form, or fashion. I don't know anybody, because here's the thing: if you're the sharpest knife in the drawer, who's sharper than you? If you walk into the room and you're the person in the room that make the most money, you got to change your circle. Because you need to walk in the room and need to be the person making the least money. So everybody that you networking and politicking with, you can learn from them. See, the one thing I learned is that and most of us do this because that's all we know, is that broke people, when I say broke, I'm talking broke from a mentality standpoint, right? Not necessarily broke from a financial standpoint. Broke people network to work. Rich people network not to work. It's a big difference. It's an absolute big difference. Now, like I said, I'm not knocking nobody that got a job because, like I said, some people out there that have a job, they really love what they do. It's a small percentage of them, but they love what they do. They could have hit that $1 billion mega million the other day, and they will still go to work at their job because they love what they do. So when it comes down to me and the financial services and this insurance, I love what I do. The fact to be able to help our people and educate our people, it's a really, really big deal. And one of the reasons why it's a really big deal for me is because I lost both my parents 68 days apart from each other, and neither one of them had no life insurance.
Oh, wow.
Like we buried daddy, and 68 days later, we got to bury mommy too, and she don't have any insurance either. Like that was an eye opener. So what questions you got for me, Janelle? Because we be here forever.
Yes. So anything for you, Dave?
No, I mean, just thanks for sharing that story. I mean, there's a lot to process there, honestly. And not to mention, I'm personally having my own head spinning from a lot of stuff I explained to Janelle too. So, but no, as far as a question, I guess, what going forward, because I know we're actually getting close to our end of time. Like, what would you offer to those listening now to get started on that journey, right? Because you're talking a lot about moving from that place where you're sort of working for somebody else towards an entrepreneurial journey. What would you offer as a first step to move forward if they're in a situation where they feel stuck right now?
Well, the first thing I would say for folks is to figure out what it is you want to do, right? Whatever field you want to get into, figure that out, right? Find somebody in that field, right, that can mentor you and understand you're going to fail before you have success, right? They say proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? And so many times we try to push people out there to be these entrepreneurs, but we never set the real life expectations for them and let them. You're going to fail, and you got to be okay with that, right? And one of my mentors at the time, and I will say this as well. One of my mentors at the time said, "James, you got to become a no person." And I'm like, what do you mean, a no person? He said, here's what I mean. If what you're going after, right? If anybody asking you to do anything that's not helping you get to where you're going, then the answer is no. You don't have to give them any rhyme or reason. The answer is no. If your excuse, I bumped my toe, I can't go. No. And my wife would tell you on this journey, we always getting invited somewhere. And no. I'm doing something. I'm going after something. I can't go. I will. The time will come where I can go do whatever I want whenever I want. That time is now, right? So I get to go do whatever I want whenever I want. The time is now. But and so people see like y'all always going. Every time I turn around, y'all somewhere. But y'all ain't never talk about the times where we know we couldn't go, right? So for those people that's trying to go out there and get started, like I said, figure out the field they want to be in, get a mentor in that field, right? Game plan and become a no person and set real life expectations. Because too many people think they're gonna come out here and they're gonna hit the jackpot just like that. It don't work that way. It does not work that way. And as you go up, you're gonna have some times when you come down. So you got to be at an even kill when it comes down to being in business for yourself. You know, you don't want to get too down on the lows, you don't want to get too high on the highs. You want to be an even kill, right? Because you're gonna have ups and downs, and every business is gonna have ups and downs, right? The other thing I will say is that, you know, hey, get disciplined when it comes down to your schedule. Because if you're not disciplined on your schedule, you're going to be a part of somebody else's schedule, right? So, and the book I would recommend for people to read and get started is The Magic of Thinking Big by Dr. David J. Schwartz. I highly recommend that book. Go through that book front and back. Take your time, reread it. It's going to help them with this right here, to get them to understand that there's a better version of them waiting to show up, right? Get them to understand that that other version, right, is counting on them to show up. You know, they might have kids, they might have a husband or wife that's waiting on that better version of them to show up, right? They community might be waiting on that better version of them to show up, right? You know, and when that better version show up, they got to realize at some point it's going to transcend from generation to generation, and they great grands it's going to talk about, hey, what great granddaddy did, right? How he changed his life, how he changed his paradigm, right? How he was able to put this stuff in place and be able to leave this for us. Because in our community, most of us, right? And I'm speaking of African Americans, don't know who our great grandfather is.
Yeah, the Rockefeller effect doesn't exist in some cases.
Right. Because you know what, and it's because, you know, we have allowed ourselves once again to become a product of our environment, and we don't want to go seek knowledge, and then we get caught up in believing the 40-40-40 plan, work 40 hours a week for the next 40 years to retire off 40%. I challenge people to go back and look at their parents, their grandparents, their great grandparents, and ask, how is that plan working? Something has to change. You have to be the one of your family to break the mold, to break the change, and be okay with being different, right? Some of the other problem is we want to be the same. No, be different. Go out there, set the bar, set the standard.
And you said, and you're an author now. So talking about being different. Not everybody's an author. Not everybody's writing a book. I'm not teasing you here, Dave, with this one, because I know you're working on writing your book. But James, he's written a book. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I'm an author. Money just flew out the window. How to create a relationship with wealth, living from paycheck to paycheck. But like you said, that's the 40-40 plan. But of course, you know, when you're employed like you are, you get checks and checks and checks and checks because you're helping people.
Right. So yeah. So I wrote a book, and it's relative to the financial services industry we in, and this is about how to get referrals in the life insurance business. So you put yourself in a position where as though your return is so high in regards to what you're relatively spending on your investment in regards to leads and everything. So it's a pretty cool book. It helped a lot of people and everything, and it's an ebook, and I'm also in the process of finishing up another book called Six Figure Income: The Part-Time Hustle's Best Kept Secret. You know, that'll be out as well soon, because a lot of people don't understand how much money is actually in this insurance industry. You can make six figures in this industry part-time. It is absolutely amazing, but most people don't know that, and because they're already judging the industry. They're already judging the industry. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they heard it from you here tonight on the first Friday in January of Power Fridays Live. And because not only in the insurance industry is a best kept secret, it's now insurance for the living. It's not insurance for just when you die. It's insurance for the living that you
And most
provide.
and right, and most people don't know that. They don't understand living benefits. They don't understand, tax-free retirement. They don't understand that because once again, that's stuff that was kept from us. We think, oh, the insurance is just for when the person die. Nah. What about that person that got diagnosed with a heart attack? Do they know that they can collect money on their insurance policy from that? Nah, a lot of them don't know it. So that's where the education piece come in at in our industries to educate people on what's out there. Because it's too much stuff out there that's negative associated with the industry itself. We got to change that. You know, they say we gotta be change agents. Yeah, we gotta be change agents, not just in the insurance industry, but whatever industry you in. Your job is to be a change agent. How can you make the industry better in what it is you're doing? How can you go out there and educate the people in the industry that you're in? Right. So I mean, like right now, we see it everywhere now. Everybody's talking about mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere because people starting to realize, hey, look, there's a lot of people out here in the world that suffers from mental health. And I think the sad part is that for men, right, we have that unwritten, that unsaid rule where we got to be strong, right? We can't show our emotions. We can't really discuss what we're going with. Who said that? Do we understand that as men, if we keep sweeping stuff under the rug, we have nobody to talk to about it, and one day that rug puckles up and we trip over and fall? Now, what's the effect that it has on us mentally? Yeah, so like I said, I'm using that as an example, and what's out there that's where now is some people come along to change the dynamics of that, which is good, right? We just need more people, like I said, whatever field they in, to think about being change agents to change some things that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need encouragers though too, James. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading something online that talked about how people know what's wrong with their life already. You don't have to tell them that.
You have to tell them.
So many times, people think their form of encouragement is to let them know where they're going wrong, when in fact they already know that. They just need to be told about their value. They need to be told about the potential that they have, the goodness that's in them, the greatness, right? And we don't do enough of that. And if more people were around doing that kind of stuff, I think there are a lot more people would be further. Right. But most of us, especially men, you're on to something there, right? Not realizing your own value and seeking it in all the wrong ways.
Yep.
Right. And I would even go as far as to say, like, God loves you as you are. Even in the mess, even on the day you're screwing it up, your value doesn't change, at least not through his eyes.
Right. Exactly. Right. And to your point, Dave, in regards to encouraging, here's a question I put out to all the audience members that's out there listening. When the last time you picked the phone up or text somebody or called them or even sent them an email and told them that they matter?
Wow.
Powerful. Yes.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. Think about that. Something as simple as that can go a long way to somebody.
I can't. That is worth its weight in gold. That one question. Yeah. If you're listening to this, if you're watching, take that question seriously.
Yeah.
Like, take the time to call somebody, and I'm going to take your advice on that myself, James. I got a couple of people on my mind just within the last hour. So this goes right along with it. I'm going to jump on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. And that's what I shared, it's coming up and, being in the financial services industry and knowing that it's Financial Wellness Month. And James, you have a book available, and we're going to make sure that that's available for everyone. How do we get in touch with you? And I do have a question in dealing with generational trauma and breaking the stigma. We have a message from Olivia, so amazing, Benoit. And how would you answer that? How do you deal with generational trauma and breaking the stigma?
So and by the way, Olivia, that is my daughter.
Oh, hi, Olivia.
That's my daughter. Like I said, she has a master's. She started her own mental health practice, and we had these conversations, right? Because we understand that times are different, right? When she was coming up, and I said, hey, look, Daddy going to say and do things, and you're going to get mad, right? And I challenge you not to get mad, right? Ask questions, seek to understand, right? Because I'm coming from the lens and the perspective of a parent. You're looking at through the lens of a child. So don't get mad. Respectfully ask questions, seek to understand. So when it comes down to that, breaking that trauma and that stigma, it all boils down to us effective listening, right? And when I say effective listening, I don't mean that you're talking to that individual, rather it's a parent or child, whoever it is, right? You talk to that individual. I don't mean you got your phone in your hand. I mean, stop what you're doing and effectively listen to what they are saying, right? And the key part to that is that being able to paraphrase back to them what you're hearing to make sure you're right? Say, so what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm hearing is X, Y, and Z, right? As opposed to immediately making an assumption about it, what it is, because at that point, what we're doing, we are getting the meta message and not the message. See, the key is to get the message, right, of what they're trying to deliver, and not the meta message, right? So yeah, so we got to do effective listening, right? And then you got to take yourself out of it because it's not about you; it's about them. And some of those questions, when they explain, it's like, how does that make you feel? That's so powerful. That question is so powerful. But guess what? So many of us don't do it. We don't do it.
Yeah.
And the reason we don't, and here's why. And I don't think we don't do it because we don't want to. We just are in our habit
Right.
of trying to figure out how they feel based off what they told us, as opposed to just blatantly just asking the question. How does that make you feel? Right? And being sensitive and respecting, right, where they at with it, right? You don't and understand. You might not can't solve the problem today for them, but to be able to effectively listen to them and understand how they are feeling from their perspective can go a long way, because now, like, oh, I can go to this person,
Yeah.
right, without the person judging me or already thinking they know the answer to my problem. Right, so we have to do a whole lot more, and to your point, Dave, a whole lot more encouraging, right,
Yes.
and creating that environment to where as though it's cohesive and right, and it's a safe environment for people, right? Because I can tell you, hey, people don't want to talk to people if they don't feel like this is not a safe environment.
Right.
You have to start with creating that safe environment for people. Like I said, I don't care if it's the child or if it's an adult. Everybody deserves a safe environment for them to be able to talk to people.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. People want to know how much you care about them.
Right. And so many times people get caught up in the with them. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
What about what's in it for them? Right. People know. We always talk about some people don't care how much you know until they care.
Know how much you care. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right on.
And that is so true. But so many people miss the point on that.
Right.
So many people miss the point on that. So
And
yeah,
I know that's why you're successful in business, James, because that's what you do for families. That's what you do for people. You care about, you meet a total stranger and you can walk in. Back in the day, I guess you were in the home. Now we're virtual, but
yep,
still, that's how you're so successful in business. Would you agree?
absolutely. I'm a firm believer of this. If you don't know the problem, how you gonna solve the problem?
Yes.
How you gonna solve the problem? You don't know the problem. You can't solve it.
Yes.
Under no circumstances. So if you're talking to somebody, we go back to this mental illness thing. If you're talking to them, if you don't know their problem, you can't solve their problem. The only way you're gonna know their problem, you got to be quiet and listen.
That's right.
You got to be quiet and listen and ask the questions about how is it making them feel? How does it make them think? You know, things along those lines. I watched my daughter. You know, she initially wanted to go to school to be I think a doctor, right? I mean, an attorney, and I think after her first year, she switched to wanting to be a mental health therapist. And I'm like, where did that come from? So she's 31, so she's been out of school, right? But for at that time, for her to be, I think she's 19, to have that mindset of what you want to do in regards to helping people, and you fast forward today to 31, and you look at what's happening in the mental health arena.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like that. To me, I'm like, she had foresight that this was going to be as big as it is today.
She just thinks outside the box, just like her father. That's what that is. And Olivia, I'd love to invite you to come and interview with us on Power Fridays Live. I know you have a powerful story, being the daughter of James. And so we do thank you and invite you. And we do have another question. And speaking, and when you spoke of, passive income earlier, and where do you believe that we should begin to get on the right road when it comes about passive income and being a financial wellness provider?
Okay, so there's quite a few different avenues out there. I tell you what piqued my interest in regards to understand the power of passive income, right? I'm gonna try to break this down so people can get it, right? Okay, the network marketing industry, right? That's a very, very powerful industry when it comes down to earning passive income. If people say, well, hey, look, no, because that it's a pyramid. You know, me getting paid, other people say you work in a pyramid structure every single day when you go to work. You got the CEO, you got the owner, the CEO, you got these people, and you're down here somewhere, right? So you're working in a pyramid environment every single day. I'm gonna give you the best examples of passive income. We all heard of Oprah. We all heard of Rachel Ray, Dr. Oz, Dr. Phil. Who do they have all in common? Oprah. Oprah introduced them to the world, right? So before she introduced them to the world once, right? She get paid off what it is they do. That's the power of passive income, right? And there's so many things out there for you to earn passive income, right? It's just our mind. There has to be a paradigm shift and understanding how good passive income is. I'm a firm believer that if you're going to get wealthy in America, right, without inheriting your wealth, hitting that $1 billion, a mega million, right, you're going to have to understand the concept of IEOP, incorporate the efforts of other people. Because check it out. If I gave you $400,000 today and I say, hey, look, go start your own business, you have to incorporate efforts of other people, which means you're getting paid off what it is they're doing. You yourself can't do everything by yourself. See, J. Paul Getty, one of the first reported billionaires, he said, hey, look, I'd rather have 10% of 100 people efforts than 100% of my own. Right? So when you really break that down and say, if there's 100 people and everybody worked 40 hours a week, and at the end of 40 hours, everybody only made $100. What if I'm the person? So that means even if I work 40 hours, I'm only gonna make $100. But what if I'm the person that off those 100 people, they all worked 40 hours a week. They all made $100. And each one of them gave me $10. Do I want my 40 hours of work to walk away with $100? Or do I want 10% off 100 people and walk away with 1,000? Got to understand the power of passive income, folks. Got to understand the power of passive income.
And how money works.
People don't but you know who understand it? The rich and wealthy people understand it. They understand it all day long. It's a lot of us that think it's a pyramid scheme. If I got to introduce somebody to something and I get paid off of them. But guess what? Your job has an employee referral program. So you go and you refer your cousin, your friend to the job. The job give you a one-time employee referral bonus, right? The job is getting paid off the efforts of that person that you refer to them. So what you're telling me, it's okay for the job to make money off of the efforts of your friend or your family member that you refer, but it's not okay for you to make money off somebody that you introduced to. Like, I'm also involved in the crypto business, right? So in my crypto business, I got a young man I introduced to the crypto space. He has to pass me. Am I mad? No, because guess what? I get an over of everything he does. We got to understand the power of that. Too many of us, it's a scheme, it's a pyramid, it's this.
The corporate corporation is a pyramid. Whenever you see who's at the top and who's at the bottom.
It's something we don't want to talk about. So let me use my daughter as an example. She has her own practice, right? So at some point in time, she's going to hire other health professionals, right? To work in accounts and everything, to work in her company. She's going to be here, and we're going to have all these other people here. She created her own pyramid organization because she's going to get paid off what it is they do.
Yes.
Unfortunately, hey, look, that's the world that we live in. Just take a look at the symbol that's on the back of the dollar. It's a pyramid with an eye at the top, right? We just need to understand and start thinking like they think, right? You know, how can I do this? Right, do something one time and get paid over and over and over and over again. So, when it comes to and I used to financial services business model, right? I bring an agent on board, right? That agent go on to make 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever the case may be. Because I brought that agent on board, I'm constantly getting a check. Right? If I sell a client a whole life policy, right? I'm getting a residual check, right? For the rest of my life. We got to understand the power of passive and residual income. And part of the reason is I can't speak for nobody else. I'm gonna speak for me, right? I know me. Nobody never even mentioned linear, passive, or residual income to me till I was a full-grown man, right? And then I understood residual. Okay, you know, I thought only authors, musicians, actors, and actresses can make residual income and passive income. I had no idea that there was vehicles and opportunities out there for the average everyday person to make residual and passive income as well. So once I got educated about it, I said, hey, look, I need to be in there. Right?
Wow. That just hit home for me because like whenever you watch a TV show, the actors they're getting a check every time you watch the movie. Right. Every time you hear certain things happening on TV, then those people are getting a check with the reruns and all of that. And so I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right.
So check it out now. The young man
about it in my book, but
the young man I told y'all about that said, hey, look, I want your week to look like my week. It's 6 Saturdays and Sunday. He said, James, because I was like, nah, man, because I used to think the same thing. Pyramid. Yo, y'all was crazy. No.
Yeah, Tanya tells us the writers too. Yeah.
Right. But check this out. He said, James, you got residual debt. Why you don't want residual income?
Say it again, James.
Guess what? You know, if you own a house, you know, you got your residual debt, right? Guess what? You have to pay that mortgage. Even if you pay your mortgage off, guess what? You still got your property taxes. It's residual, right?
Right.
You got your health insurance, you got your car insurance, you got your cell phone bill, you got your gas bill, you got residual debt. So why not position yourself to get some residual passive income? You got residual debt. Here's the question. Who in your house besides you and your spouse is helping to offset the bills? See, because guess what? If you're working a job, you're helping to offset the bills of the owner of the company, and you're okay with that. If you're okay with helping to offset the bills of the owner of the company, then you got to be okay with putting a plan in place to help offset the bills in your house and teach somebody else how to help offset the bills in their house, where everybody can win.
Well, James, I love that concept. So tell everyone how we can get in touch with you. How can we stay in touch with you for the people who will hear this video later and they're like, hey, I like what James said. You know, I need to know what he knows, or I need to get in touch with him. I need to read the books he's reading. You know, how do we do that?
Absolutely. You can reach me. My email is James Coleman, JamesColeman 929 at yahoo.com. You can also reach me by my cell, which is 973-223-4546. I had that number now for over 20 years, right? I'm never going to change it. You can also connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook under James Hassan Coleman. You can catch me on Instagram at Hassan0614. So yeah, you can absolutely get in touch with me.
Oh, thank you so much. And this has been an amazing conversation. You know, to come from the street, from a 2-bedroom home apartment with 10 children, and I'm like, there was 10 of us in the family, but we didn't all live in the same house. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, to working illegally in the streets, to being incarcerated, and now, you know, having to change the trajectory of your generational family for creating the paradigm shift for generational wealth and helping families, what's most important in the financial wellness month, and educating and being a mentor and coach to many other, you know, agents that you support and help. With an author, you know, you initially said man of God, husband, father, man of God, and knowing that God was there all with you all the way throughout all of that transformation that you've gone through. This has been an amazing, powerful conversation. I thank you so much. You could have been anywhere in the world. I thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Right, thanks. Hey, and I thank you, David and Janelle, for having me on. And here's what I want to leave the people with. It's 2023, right? And I know there's a lot of people out there that made New Year's resolutions, right? For whatever the case may be. But I want to leave them. I want to leave them with this. You can't get mad at the results you don't get for the work you didn't do. Mm-hmm. So whatever your New Year's resolution is, you got to do the work. Mm-hmm. You don't get the results because you didn't do the work. And you can't get mad at that. And you can't get mad at nobody. It's on you. So I thank y'all once again for having me. Everybody be blessed. Janelle, I will get you my daughter's information so you can reach out to her. All right.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for connecting. And you can get in touch with James and Dave. Thank you so much. And as always, is there anything else for you? I think James is.
No, just going back to legacy, but also the one thing I did want to point out is going back to what Olivia was talking about, the trauma, because a lot of the things that we're talking about here, if you're thinking about going down this road, there is a lot of negative self-talk that goes through people's minds in the beginning of that journey. Is there not, James? So
Absolutely.
that goes back to the trauma and the things that Olivia and James are both talking about. We have to be willing to deal with those things if we're going to progress forward on that journey. So, that's something I'm particularly passionate about. It's a process I'm going through right now as an entrepreneur. So I just wanted to bring that back to the stage. And also, just once again, everything you spoke about deals in legacy, right? What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind for the generations coming after you? Do you want them to remember who you are, and what do you want them? Or I've heard it said, what do you want to be written on your gravestone?
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you want people to remember you? So I think, James, you did a good job highlighting that for us and really painting that picture that what we do in our lifetime now matters for the generations to come. So thank you for that reminder, and thank you for being with us.
Hey, David, you said something, and I can't let you breeze over it. I can't let you breeze over it. You said something that's so important for the people that want to embark on the journey, right? And you said that negative self-doubt and talk comes in. And here's the thing, it's because all of us, right, at some point in time in our life, or still currently, is living in that mental gated community where fear lives at, right? Where doubt lives at, where I'm not good enough lives at. Oh, why is this happening to me lives at, right? Well, that's not for me, right? Oh, I don't need a mentor lives at, right? I don't need a coach, right? I'm not good enough, right? I lack self-esteem, right? Oh, I can't do this because of my parents, right? We live in that mental gated community, right? And we have to, I'm going to give everybody on the call permission to leave that mental gated community, right? Because like I said earlier, there's a bigger, better version of you, right? And you're responsible for letting that bigger, better version of you come out. But I could not let you walk past that, because that self-doubt and that talk is in there. It's in there for all of us, right?
Yep.
But we're going to give the people permission to leave that mental gated community.
Give yourself grace, right?
Yes.
Give yourself grace, because we all need some grace, and we need to receive love, right? Because if we're not able to receive that, we'll beat ourselves up. We can do a good enough job tearing ourselves down, can't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't need anyone else to do it for us, right?
Without help.
But then you go ahead and you stack the fact that we do trigger one another, and not even intentionally all the time.
Yep.
And then some people are cold enough to actually go in on you. Like, all of that collectively, I mean, we're hit from all sides. We have to give ourselves grace. We have to give others grace. That's where it comes back to the listening stuff that you're talking about, because there's both sides of it. Are you on the receiving end, right? Or are you the one that's doing the trigger and or you're just sitting there encountering a person that you need to spend more time listening to understand, like you're saying, rather than judging them and trying to come up with the next thing you want to say before you open your mouth, right? Yep. Listen to them. Try to understand from their perspective. That's what empathy is all about. But, do the same for yourself. Also not said enough, right? Do the same for yourself. If you can do that for others, you need that, because truth is, we're going to make mistakes. Truth is, we do have struggles, right? And that's okay. But through your struggle, through your pain is purpose, and we're able to move forward through that because there's a lesson in all of it. Mm-hmm. Right? But that's that. Again, I don't want to go too violent. Start us on a new session.
Absolutely.
I'll stop there. I'll just stop there.
Yes, and you can check out Dave, the Purpose Coach, at beaconleaders.com, and where he has a course that speaks to all of that and much more. And I do appreciate the time that you've had with us, James, and all of the nuggets that you dropped tonight. I'm so thankful that God was with you, and that you were not out of the ark of safety, even when you thought the times were the worst of times that you experienced in your life. And I'm just super happy that you got out of your own way, and that your relationship now manifests in you with God, and through other people to where you're being able to be a support, to your community. And I do thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And, it's all about creating that relationship with wealth so that you won't have to live from paycheck to paycheck. Like you mentioned, the passive income model is out there available for everyone as we celebrate Financial Wellness Month and Power Fridays Live. And as I always say, be, do, and have the greatness that you desire, because the greatness is in you. And James, you shared that greatness that you have in you with us tonight, and I'm so appreciative of that. Come back and join us next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for Power Fridays Live. And you guys take care and be blessed. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week at 7 p.m.
All right, y'all. Take care. Be blessed. All right, now.
Bye.